they don't build them like this anymore. This is the classic RCA. This is a VDT625. That would make this third generation RCA VHS machine. When RCA entered the VHS market in I think it was 1978, the first model that they brought to market was called the VBT200. Don't ask me why they started at V. They didn't have a VAT. They started VBT200. That would have been 1970, I believe it was 78, because the first VCR that I personally purchased was the VCT201, which was the second generation, and it looked almost identical to this machine. This, by the way, this machine, the reason it's all dirty, it was brought to me like this. This was the machine that was brought to me from a customer for repair, and he informed me that he used to live in my town, and that I would have worked on this before when I worked at the shop that I used to run the service department, because his family used to bring all the stuff in there. So I would have worked on this thing years and years ago. Anyway, the differences between the VBT, or the VCT201, which is the one that I owned, and this one, the VCT201 had two speeds, SP and LP. And then the next year, they added the SLP speed. It's still a mechanical deck, so you have a mechanical switch for your TV VCR. And the other big difference is where this one here has a 14 position varactor tuner, which you can set each channel to a preset channel by setting the little controls here. It had a multi timer. It was a multi-program timer, I believe. Or was it a single? I forget. Yeah, this one was a I think it was a multi-program. It was a 4-program timer this one had. And whereas the previous model was a single program timer. And other than that, I think they were pretty similar. Now this machine's got a problem. So before I even try to play a tape, I'm going to take the top off it. But take a look at this. This is how the old school machines used to detect if the tape was at the end. They actually had an incandescent light that would shine into the tape compartment. There's a light that lights up. That's the tape end detector, and what that did was that shines through the tape to activate the tape end sensors. Before I even try to load a tape, I'm going to take the top off this thing and actually make sure that none of the mechanical parts are worn, that the idlers and so forth aren't damaged, and then we can look at the operation. So let me get the top off this unit. So to take these old beasts apart, you have to actually remove the back from them first, because there are screws that are concealed from the back, so you have to remove the back. This machine was manufactured, by the way, what's the date on this thing? It's 1980. I don't know if you can read that or not, but I guess the June, looks like June 3rd, 1980. So this machine's almost 37 years old, and I bet it still works. So remove those screws. I have a few more screws in the front, I believe I have to remove. Now this machine weighs an absolute ton. This is probably 30 pounds, these machines. They were very heavy. We have to eject the cassette, and the front cover should lift off. There we go. Okay, let's take a look at this mechanism in detail. So these machines, this one is a 4-head machine. You can see the 4 independent heads here. This is long before they had the dual azimuth head. So this has actually got 4 separate heads, and no, 2 of them are not hi-fi heads. This is long before hi-fi was even considered. This was long before stereo was even considered. Here's our guideposts here, and these guideposts essentially wrap the tape. They pull it out as an M loading pattern. The capstan shaft is fixed. The pinch roller is on the back side here. It's controlled by a solenoid, and this solenoid sometimes would get sticky, but this one appears to be in pretty good shape. The capstan motor here is a belt drive that drives, there's two belts. One drives the main idler shaft down in here, down there. That's what drives the tape for fast forward and rewind. And it also drives the capstan shaft. So let's grab a tape and we'll see whether this thing will actually move a tape. See if the belts are okay and see if the idler is okay. So I'll load a tape, close it down, and we'll just try the rewind functions and fast forward functions first. And we can see that there's plenty of torque there. It's rewinding fine, but it's not wanting to go into fast forward. And it's not wanting to go into play. It's like the controls are locked. Interesting. Okay, so that appears to be a problem. Our controls are sticking. Stop button goes down, rewind goes down, but it is locked out of fast forward and it's locked out of play. So that's what we have to investigate and find out why those buttons are sticking. Now, these units being all mechanical in design, there are a couple of levers, I'm looking for them here, that move down in here. Just looking for the things. There's a couple little levers that stick out. Hard to see from that angle, but they're right down underneath here. See if I can get the camera in there a little closer to show you guys what I'm looking at. Okay, if you look at these little levers here, when I press the eject, or the I can press eject here. See the levers that move here and eject? Those levers right down in here, they have a tendency to stick. And what happens when you load the tape, these are what lock the buttons so that you can't press the buttons down, right? And when you load in a tape, these are supposed to spring back, but they're not. And if I just go in here and give them a little push, so you'll see them here, right? If I give that lever a little push in and return back to normal position, I can probably put the unit into fast forward. Okay, and now I probably can't put it into play because the lever's stuck again. So if I push the lever back in, I should be able to get this thing to go into play. There we go. And the tape is moving. Let's hook up the monitor and see if it's actually playing. So I put it back into play. Unbelievable. This thing's actually got a picture. Well, it doesn't have a picture. I'm putting it in pause. The tape is actually not moving. I have a feeling that probably, in addition to these levers being stuck, that the capstan belt is slipping. I can't tell whether the capstan shaft is turning, but I have a feeling it's not. And that's what's happening. It was turning by hand. It was turning, but it doesn't appear to be turning now. So either the pinch roller is not engaging properly, or the capstan shaft is not turning. Let's take a closer look. As you can see, it's trying to advance to get a clear freeze frame, right? That's how these ones did it. They pulsed the motor to try and advance to the point where it got a good freeze frame. Moves a little bit, but it's not moving enough. So we have a tape transport problem as well as the function keys. In order to look at this thing a little easier, I'm going to actually remove the cassette cover so that we can see the operation of the mechanism a little bit better. Wrong screws. I probably did that 30 years ago. Okay, here's a look at the top with the cassette housing removed. If I close this down and I go into play mode, we'll see whether the capstan shaft actually turns. And it does. Looks like it might be just sticking. It's moving. And the tape supply spool is turning. Now these have a tape spool detection. If I look here, oops, I let my finger away from the light sensor there. If we look down here next to the tape counter, you'll see a magnet with a Hall effect device down here. So what happens if for some reason this magnet stops turning, and this is turned by the take-up spool. If I stop the take-up spool from turning, that magnet will stop and the machine will go into emergency stop after a few seconds. This is to prevent it from eating a tape. That is still used, by the way, was still used on cassette decks back in the day as well. It was a magnet that turned, and then they replaced it with an optical sensor. I don't know if that was a good thing or not, because the optical sensors tended to give more problem than the Hall effect sensor with the rotating magnet. It was very reliable. Let's go back in and load that cassette and just see what it's doing. So I can load the cassette in here, close it down, and I have to hold it in place because with the lid missing, the tape isn't fully in. Aha! What happened there? My tape got a bit crunched. Okay. This tape is kind of buggered up. Play. Just want to see why the tape's not moving. It's sticking. It's sticking. So the reason the tape's not moving is because it's actually sticking to the heads. So that just needs a good cleaning, and that should help that out. So let's do that. We may get away with just cleaning this machine and lubricating the sliders on the front here. Put some oil on it and clean up the grease on them, because this thing's actually trying to play. So we'll start by cleaning the transport. So on here I'll just use good old isopropyl alcohol, or isopropanol, however you want to pronounce it. We'll clean the audio heads. We'll clean the tape roller that takes out any irregularities in the tape. And this is to reduce flutter. There's another one over here. This is to try to stabilize the tape as it goes onto the drum. And a fair bit of dirt on there, and then we'll clean the lower drum, avoiding the video heads. And we'll clean the upper drum again, avoiding the video heads. Clean the pinch roller. Now this roller is pretty shiny. It might not hurt to put some rubber renew on there just to give it a bit more grip. Clean the tape guides. Yeah, I would say that there was a fair bit of dirt on this machine. What do you think? I'm going to let the machine dry. I'm going to test it again, and we're just going to lubricate this slide assembly down here. I'm just wondering what my best plan of attack to get at it is. I can see the sliders at the back here, right? That are sticking. I don't think they're sticking anymore either. I think I got them. It's going to put a bit of oil just down to onto the end here and let it wick through the sliders. So what I'm doing is I've just got a bit of oil on the end of this screwdriver, and I'm just going to put it onto these. And that'll let the oil soak in between. What happens is there's two plates that slide back and forth, and they get stuck. You can see that one on top of the other. They tend to get a bit sticky. So this will allow these pieces now to slide back and forth. They were gummed up before. This should allow these pieces to now to slide back and forth. If I really felt like taking this whole mechanism into pieces and taking all these parts out, I would do it. And if the machine wasn't 37 years old, I'd probably consider that. But this is old plastic. The plastic in here is very old, and it tends to get brittle. So if I don't have to take the mechanism apart to get some oil into the two pieces, the two slide plates that slide back and forth, if I don't have to actually take it apart to get them lubricated, I'm not going to, just because I don't want to risk causing any more damage taking this assembly out to work on it. So I think they're probably going to be okay at this point. Let's just see how they work, how it works now. And my recording is better. It's actually playing not too bad. Where's my tracking control on this thing? Tracking controls on the front. I would say that is actually, it's working pretty good. This is not a very good tape that I've got on here, but there you go. It's working. Next thing I'm going to do is I think the pinch roller probably could use a bit of rubber renew on it, so we'll get that out and we'll just put some rubber renew on here. That'll take the shine off of this thing and give it a little bit more, little more grip. So I'll do that, and then we'll try it again. I tell you, this stuff stinks. It smells like oil of wintergreen. It's really powerful stuff, and almost impossible to get that lid off too. It's been sitting up there on the shelf for a while. So we're just gonna wipe the roller down, and what this will do is this will take the oxidization off the rubber. It probably won't hurt to give the other tires in here a coating of it as well. So I'll just give these rubber tires a wipe down. I can feel the torque coming up now as the tire gets polished up. Now it's getting harder and harder to stop it. Okay, and we'll try rewind. Oops, go to this side. And yeah, rewind's got lots of torque. Lots of torque on rewind. Okay, let's put I'm going to put the tape cover back together so that I can test it without actually having to hold the tape in place. Okay, got the cassette compartment back together. Beauty, huh? It's working. Excellent. Old Stevie Ray Vaughan concert from years gone by. I don't want to show that too long because I'm sure we'll get a match on that if I'm not careful. Let's see how the sound is. Oh, where is the sound? I have no sound. We got to figure out why we have no sound. I'm sure there's sound on this tape. I'm just going to hit the audio dub key here. Make sure that even the switches here, make sure that the record play switches are not There we go. I think we're going to get sound back now. Yeah, so obviously what happened here is one of the record play switches got a bit stuck. So we can clean those switches. So to do that, I have to take the bottom off, because there's going to be some slide switches that select between record and play. Just by switching it in audio dub and on and off and record on and off, I moved the switches back and forth, and that got my sound working. That tells me I need to open it up and actually put some cleaner in the switches. So on these beasts, you remove the screws from the bottom. The guy that owns this thing actually wants to put it back in service and continue using it. It's like me with my old SL 5200. It's my oldest Beta Hi-Fi machine, but it's the one that I actually use to play back recordings when I'm archiving my old beta tapes. I go back to the SL 5200 because for super beta tapes I have to use a super beta machine to get the proper recovery. But for tapes that were recorded in standard beta, I think that SL 5200 actually gives me a better picture than the super beta machines do when playing the standard tapes. I'm going to turn the unit on its top. These units have swing out boards, and I'm looking for the board that has the switches on it. I think it was this one over here, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's going to be this one. But anyway, you guys get look in the bottom. I'll just open up the other board here. These were made by Panasonic, these machines, by the way. It looks similar to my NV9200 as far as how it's built. Well, it was probably built on the same line as my NV9200. Okay. And here's all the belts in here, as you'll see. So we've got two belts from the capstan motor here. One drives the capstan supply or capstan shaft. Here's the other belt that drives the reel drive pulley over here. This is the drum motor. It's a direct drive. Look at the size of that beast. It's got a little FG sensor over here and little magnets on the side of the motor. You can see the little magnets right there on the side of the motor. So as they pass over this FG coil, which you can't see but it's right here, as they pass by there, that indicates where the heads start, which one for the A head and one for the B. So one would be a north pole magnet and the other one is a south pole. So as they spin, they produce the two pulses. Here's the loading motor here that operates the mechanism. On the machine that I had, my VCT201, the part that broke on mine and why I threw it out was this plastic gear here split in two. That's what operates the loading mechanism to thread and unthread the tape. When that gear split, I threw the machine in the garbage because there was no chance of getting one. I'm talking 20 odd years ago, I threw this out, right? Now we have 3D printing. It might be possible to get a gear printed. But back then, when the part was not available, I tossed it out. You'll notice there's markings A, B, and C on here because it's a three-phase motor. So those are the three phases for the motor as they pass over the coils underneath it. The switches I'm looking for are right there. So we're going to clean those slide switches. These are what select. One selects audio record, the other selects video record. So when you put it into record mode, both these switches get pushed down to go into record mode. When you put it in audio dub mode, just one gets pressed down. So it operates the two circuits. Let's get the neutral out and we'll give those switches a shot of cleaner. So this can of neutral is getting really empty. There's still some in it though, so we'll give the switches a shot. And then we'll operate the switches. I believe this one's the audio switch and this one's the video switch. But I could be wrong, but anyway. They're the two switches that need to be cleaned. Okay, switches should be cleaned. Okay, to replace the capstan belt on this thing, I actually have to remove a bracket here. And then I should be able to just lift the belt out. If I lift off this bracket. I mean, all the belts could probably do to be replaced in this unit, but cost of repair is a factor for the owner, so I want to keep his cost down, so I'll only replace the one belt if I can get away with just replacing the one belt. So we'll take that out of the way for now and pull the old belt out. And a new belt, I hope, is going to be good enough. It's tighter, it's not quite as thick as the other one, but you know what, it probably will do the job. I forgot how much of a pain in the butt it was to put these belts on. They don't want to cooperate because you're fighting against gravity, right? And I have to get underneath or over top of this belt. I have to get in behind another pulley here, which is hard to get at. And try and thread its way around. The way we used to do this was we used to take a piece of tape, giving away my trade secrets again. We used to take a piece of tape and stick it on one side, and then we could just turn the pulley and it would pull the belt around with it. So we'll take a piece of tape and we'll stick it to the belt and the pulley. Like that. And then just turn the pulley around and let the tape sort of pull the new belt around with it without dropping down behind the mechanism. If we do it right, we can get the new belt in place. Like that. Now I can get the other belt back around the drive pulley. Come on. Oh, for crying out loud. Get up here. Damn it. There we go. go into another groove here on another. It goes in behind. I'll show you that. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'll move the camera so you can see. The threading is kind of complicated on this thing. So as you can see, here's how the pulley is threaded. Or the reel drive pulley is, or reel drive belt threaded around the main motor, and then it goes around on the back side of this idler and then around this pulley. So that was what the tough part was getting it to go around like that. So you have a counter turning idler, and then of course the capstan. So now I'm going to put that bracket back in. Okay, we should be able to test it now, even though it's upside down. We should be able to play this thing. Tracking control. Kill that sound before I get in trouble. Okay, looking better. And as you can see, now that this thing's back together, it's playing perfect. And now we have it playing my color bar tape with tone. Playing it perfect. We'll try a recording on this thing, and then we're gonna send this one on its way. Okay, I'm hooked up to cable. I'm going to make a recording on this. To record, you press the record and play together. I'm going to record my video because it's the thing to do, right? Use my own footage. So I'm recording this on this beast, and we'll just try all three speeds. That's SP speed. We'll switch it down to the LP speed. And then we'll switch it down to the EP speed. Stop. Rewind. Back to the beginning. And there it is. There's the playback. Looking pretty darn good to me. I wouldn't be complaining. For a 37-year-old VCR, this thing's actually amazing. And now it goes to the LP speed. There's the LP speed, complete with all my dropouts on the tape and scratches and stuff. And then it should kick into the EP speed here momentarily. And it should kick into EP here. I guess that was it. That's what was on the tape before. Yeah, that was the EP recording from the last time. Looks like my EP free run might be a little bit off. Damn, I gotta adjust my EP free run speed. Of course, what I mean by EP free run speed is on the board here. There's 2 capstan free run, actually 3 capstan free run, I believe, 1 for each speed. One of these will be the EP speeds, probably this one here. It's one of these 2, or SLP. And basically how you adjust it is you have to have a tape that's recorded in that speed first of all. Looks like that's getting back to SP. This one I believe is SP. Yeah, that one's SP. SP, LP, and EP, I believe, are the 3 speeds on this thing. But to verify it, I need to make a recording on a machine that's got 3 speeds, and I'll do a reference recording, and that way I can play back the recording and just set my free run lock. What it does is it adjusts the free run lock speed for the capstan motor, and after years and years and years of use, these things drift a bit, and they have to be adjusted. Plus the belt I put on is a little tighter than the original belt, so that'll add a bit of a drag to the capstan motor, so we'll have to adjust the speeds. I had to actually go and make a recording of something in SP, LP, and EP, and then I can set this up. Okay, so now I've made my recording in the SP speed on my other recorder. I don't have LP on my other machine. I've only got SLP on my more modern machine. So hopefully the LP speed is okay. We'll wait for this to shift down to the SLP speed, and then I'll try tweaking. I'm pretty sure it's this one here. Gotta wait for the speed change to take place on the tape. I recorded about a minute in each speed. And here's it switched down to the slower speed. We'll just adjust the capstan free run speed. There we go. We're pretty close to it there. Those lines may be because the machine's upside down, but it's now at least locking it at the right speed. We'll put the bottom on it and turn it over and take another look at it. There, as you can see, it's playing there. That's the end of my recording. No, yeah, that's the end of my recording. It's playing the LP speed much better now, or the EP speed, or say SLP, SP, and then it'll switch down in a second here. There's the LP speed there. And it's playing. Okay, so it's probably about all we can do on this thing. It's a pretty old machine. But it is working. And it seems to be working just fine. And now for the reassembly procedure. Get the shuttle switches off. Give us a chore to get these things back together. There we go. As you can see, these things were not, very well built, but they were quite involved anytime. anybody had a service, and they were quite involved to get into them to actually service these machines. But they didn't require a lot of service. A lot of cleaning. When rental tapes came out, a lot of cleaning. They didn't require a lot of actual maintenance. They were very reliable for as far as, for the time. And I think as time went on, these machines have certainly stood the test of time and not required a lot of maintenance because they were just built like they were bulletproof. Hope you enjoyed this video. Look at an old, ancient RCA Victor Select Division video cassette recorder. This one can now go back to its owner and can serve him a few more years of use, so he can transfer his tapes onto a digital format. Thanks for watching.